Chapter 14, Discussing '06. Sonic '06. Well, first of all, look!
Sonic 2006 is buggy, has horrible loading times, and everyone should hate it.
Quite. Well, this chapter is called Discussing '06 and not, well, freaking duh, so I hope you'll forgive us for not delving deep into the technical issues of the game. For that, I'll gladly direct you to, well, about 50,000 other in-depth articles about why Sonic '06 sucks.
Oh, come on, Roger. Keep a stiff upper lip. We attacked Sonic Colors and Unleashed. Can't ignore the mother of all bad Sonic games, now can we?
Well, yeah, but it's like being in a train judgment competition. What's the best train? Oh, this one has a great engine but pollutes a lot. This one is fast and good for the environment. Much better train. Is this a good train? And then there's a train wreck. Well, this train is clearly the worst train of the competition. Yeah, thanks, Captain Obvious.
You're welcome, citizen! Ha-ha!
Judging its ability would be missing the point. The real issue is, why is this train wreck even in the competition, and what tragedy took place to make it crash? Same with '06. Its biggest crime is, why is this released? And we all know the basic story: rush production, bad communication, money. But there's a few more complicated things going on. It's going to be a wild ride, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin.
Sonic 2006 was the biggest disaster that...
I think you can skip that part.
Fair enough. Sonic 2006 is essentially a remake of the first Sonic adventure, but on steroids. Same teammate mechanics, same hub world idea, same structure, same basic ideas.
Ah yes, the great Clement went into great detail about this. Anyway, Sonic Adventure 1 was an interesting product. Not only supposed to revive Sonic and bring him to the third dimension, but also to showcase the Dreamcast's power. So they shoved in as many weird little things into the game as possible. It's half a game and half an event. Purists were no doubt concerned, but I for one kinda love the randomness and its adorable eagerness to please.
We said this before, eh? The gameplay might be clunky and not as well defined as Mega Man or Mario, but it gives tons of spectacle and atmosphere in return. So Sonic '06 attempted to do the same thing. After all, while a game like Sonic Heroes is more straightforward, a more tight example of a Sonic game, Sonic Adventure is a spectacle. It's big, it's bold. When all the Dreamcasters started and mostly had tech demos to show, Sonic was a whole package, a game to sink your teeth into. And with the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 coming on the horizon, Sonic 2006 wanted to do the same. So '06 was on its way to become Sonic Adventure's bigger, stronger, handsomer, darker, and eventually more deranged evil twin brother. Making next-generation games was harder than making a Dreamcast game. They gave themselves a too tight deadline, and the rest is badly programmed history. But with exception of the atmosphere and attention to location detail, Sonic '06 does everything Adventure does, but bigger. Characters first played like a slightly slower Sonic with a few simple gimmicks attached. Now they're really slow Sonics with extreme gimmicks. Their constant changing in gameplay got more extreme. The openness of the levels and the length got more extreme. And the loading times, of course.
And the bitter thing about '06 is that it's doing exactly what I want in a Sonic game. I always thought a wide open Sonic game with the interactivity of, say, Mario would be amazing. But Sonic '06 pretty much killed any desire to do a wide open Sonic game anymore. What should have been a celebration of a cool idea became a rock-solid argument against it.
To make the bitter irony even more bitter and ironic, Sonic 2006 actually fixed a lot of things in the story about what we complained about before. Sonic is more vulnerable again, gives his companions more attention. Eggman is less clownish. However, like with everything, Sonic 2006 fixed the problems of the previous games by going too far in the other direction. Sonic is less obnoxious? Well, yeah, but now he's freaking boring. No jokes, no life. He's so dull. Same with Eggman. He's finally no longer an idiot, but instead he talks and he looks way too scary and... And it's almost amusing how Sonic Adventure's main story was about main character Sonic versus Eggman, and how we praised it for bringing in cute little sub-stories for the side characters to have a point. where Sonic 2006's main story is about the side characters and instead was nice enough to throw in a cute little sub-story to give main characters Sonic and Eggman a point.
I never thought of it like that. Yep, lots of problems. So, like Sonic R or that Game Boy Advance port, 06 should have been just another game the world doesn't know about, most Sonic fans ignore in irritation, and some Sonic fans really enjoy because, hey, Sonic games are so much over the map that fans are practically bred to overlook flaws and find great joy in unexpected parts. But instead, this game became a huge legend, even beyond the Sonic fandom. Heck, even to this day reviewers act like every new Sonic game is the first godsend reboot after an endless series of apparent phantom Sonic 06 games I don't know about. So, what makes Sonic 06 special over other failures? Well, the obvious one is that it's the main game, while most of Sonic's other little controversial missteps were always spin-offs, including good old Shadow. But there's more complicated things going on beneath the surface. Well, the dangerous thing about Sonic is that it was entirely built upon an unstable concept, the concept of cool, and made by different studios with all their own thoughts about it. Some Sonic games like Sonic 2 were merely straightforward platform games with creative level and speed. Some games like CD and Knuckles Geodix had a whole dark fairy tale magical gimmick universe, while Sonic 3 and Knuckles was more set in a bit more realistic universe and focused on set pieces. Sonic 3's direction won, and the gameplay purists weren't happy with this. Sonic sacrificed its cartoony platform roots to become more of an action spectacle. It started in Sonic 3 and kept going further and further into that direction. But hey, they couldn't complain. Sonic 3 and the Sonic Avengers were critical darlings. Their complaints would come across as pathetic and nitpicking. But then we got to Shadow's game and eventually got Sonic 06, the final station of the track to standard action game land. The train derailed and the gameplay purists finally had a weapon to fight against not only Shadow and 06, but retroactively against Sonic Adventure and even Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Purists who didn't care about the Sonic series and hadn't played the game since 1992 suddenly came in droves to look at a train crash, and it became a symbol. Not to mention a big financial success. Thanks, curious people! And that's why Sonic 06 became a legend. Not just because it was buggy or had weird plot elements. Those were just tools, just arguments, just parts of the bigger picture. It was a symbol that Sonic's direction was wrong and it should go back all the way back to Sonic 2. After all, if it was just the fact it was buggy and the plot was dumb, the solution would be just to fix it. But the crowds weren't screaming to get it fixed, they were screaming for Shadow's head on a stick. For the story to be entirely removed. Everything entirely removed that wasn't tied to the classic Sonic.
I think the reason the game became a legend is because it became an internet meme, a social cheat code. You don't have a personality, good sense of humour or wit to say anything interesting, we'll just say Sonic 06 sucks and boom! Upvotes, thumbs up, you're freaking amazing, awesome! In fact, it's more than just a cheat code, it's a ritual. You're just having a normal conversation. Hey, Sonic music is nice. Yeah, I prefer Sonic 2's soundtrack. I prefer Sonic Rush's incredible music. Hey, Sonic 2006 has a nice theme song. Then boom, conversation freezes for a while everyone has to mention Sonic 06 is horrible first. Despite the fact it's irrelevant to the discussion. You can practically hear them chanting.
Sonic 06 sucks. Sonic 06 sucks.
Ah, you're bringing up a lot of interesting points, so let's go through them. So Sonic's story. With the risk of going into stand-up comedian territory about men versus women, but as a connoisseur of mundane conversations and a long-time suffering victim of bored out of my mind at birthday parties person, there's things I pick up. Mostly that men, when talking among each other, prefer talking about problem solving. You know, how they solved something in the house or how they dealt with a problem that happened. Well, sports, that's even more nothing but an endless collection of challenges and problems that need to be solved. While women are more into talking about, you know, just their emotions and feelings about situations without the element of a solution. Anyway, a good story requires a balance between them both. A good story has a problem in its core and a solution at the end, and both should be fueled by emotions and status. Movies about only problem solving, particularly when those solutions involve punching and explosions, is mostly appealing to men, and stories only about dealing with emotions and status issues without solutions is mostly a female thing. Anyway, I'm talking very broad strokes here, of course. Most people probably prefer things in middle. Anyway, Sonic's story as Sonic 2006 can be partially compared with Twilight.
I can picture it now. Shadow the Sparkling Vampire.
Minus sparkling vampires and weird sex fantasies then. Well, maybe. Okay, so the Twilight movies contain a lot of manly elements. Monsters that want to kill each other, pending wars, a dangerous vampire on the loose murdering people in town. So men in the audience focus on that. Yay, problems! Come on, main characters, solve those problems. Punching them in the face and make them explode. But the story is extremely geared towards the more female state of mind, and therefore all those problems only serve to have feelings about it, to enrich Bella struggling with her love. So it's not, oh no, a deadly army of monsters that wants to kill us, let's go punch it! But more, oh no, a deadly army of monsters that wants to kill us! How will this affect my relationship with Edward? Edward, do you still love me despite the fact there's an army that wants us dead? You do! Yay, he really loves me! Might as well cut straight to the end credits there. The story is concluded, rest of the movie is no longer interesting. What about the army that was about to kill them? How do they escape? How do they make it explode? Not relevant, whatever. Man probably did a man thing and they fought it and did other dumb manly things that men always do to solve the problem. Whatever. Point is, Edward loves Bella. No.
Come on, you're exaggerating now. That's more a parody of the female state of mind. Most people would be more in the middle in between manly and girly thinking.
Sure. Anyway, so, Sonic 2006. Shadow is the manly story. He's the one solving problems, punching them in the face and exploding them. Sonic, however, is the feminine story. It's not about solving problems. Problems are only there to enrich his relationship with Elise. Eggman attacks the city and kidnaps Elise. Oh no, how will they ever fall in love now? The guy from the future wants to murder Sonic. Yay, he doesn't care. His love for Elise is so strong he'll gladly sacrifice the entire universe for it. Isn't that romantic? No. Elise wants to commit suicide to escape from Eggman. All the manly men in the audience scream in rage. No, you idiot bimbo! If you'll die, you'll release the Iblis trigger! While girly girls in the audience go, ah, she's willing to sacrifice her life because she can't be with Sonic. Isn't that romantic? And that's the whole story.
You remember those classic cartoons where the boy gets kissed by an attractive lady and then wanders after her like a drooling zombie? That's what Sonic's reminding me of.
Yeah, he's cool and awesome in the beginning, but as soon as he sees Elise, he's in full mode. Sonic, I came from the future to murder you because you caused the destruction of the planet. Yeah, whatever. Amy, you deal with a dangerous psychopath that almost managed to kill me. I have to go find Elise so I can talk about my feelings. Sonic, look! There's a mysterious guy talking to Silver and explaining how you somehow destroyed the universe. Nah, whatever. I need to find Elise and talk about my feelings. Sonic! Shadow Rouge are trapped in the future where they might die a horrible death. Nah, whatever. I need to find Elise and talk about my feelings. Oh, hey, Elise. Here are my feelings. Ah!
You what? Why the heck would they pick Sonic as the feminine character? That's bloody stupid!
Yeah, from those three guys you have a dark, mysterious, tortured soul who has deep respect and loyalty to his friends. The adorable, naive newcomer eager to please those around him, and the self-obsessed with himself jock who doesn't take anything serious. Out of those three, who seems the least women-friendly? And most likely to immediately hit the road when his girlfriend is starting to become less interesting? Pretty sure Sonic would score the lowest as a faithful boyfriend. But still, somehow they pick him for the romantic girly part of the story. And it's not even a case of girls want bad boys, because that would have been Shadow. Silver would have made more sense as the feminine part of the story. Him falling high over heels over Princess Elise and being set up by Mephiles to make her cry. Or perhaps being in love with Blaze and he's sent to kill Sonic because Mephiles would tell him that would somehow give him a medicine to save an ill Blaze or something in that direction. With Sonic more as a neutral hero in the middle of the plot. But nope, Sonic is turned into the Edward Cullen and his story was celebrated by all.
Don't make me laugh, mate. And then Princess Elise, nothing against the dear girl, I'm sure she's a fine princess, but the writers thought this would look romantic?
Ah, good old Princess Elise, so much controversy. An insult to women. According to men, at least.
It's almost amusing how it's almost only boys who hate Princess Elise for being a horrible female role model, while practically every girl we talk to has no issues with
let's favorite Sonic characters.
Quite the opposite, in fact.
Like we said before, men logic versus women logic. Elise as a character functions perfectly fine as your typical romantic lead in a romantic story. She just happens to be in a manly action story and doesn't play by those rules, causing friction with the male players. Now, as for Elise's relationship with Sonic, I'm going to say something crazy now, something weird. Instead of being shocked and surprised at Sega for pairing Elise and Sonic up, for doing a weird hedgehog-human relationship, I'm gonna do the exact opposite. I'm going to express my surprise that it took Sega so long to hold off a human girlfriend for Sonic. I expected Sega to pair up Sonic with a human much faster.
Sure. As if Sega would have paired Sonic up with Elise in the very first Mega Drive Sonic game. You'd think that could have happened?
Yes.
What? No, they wouldn't.
I'm sure everyone's familiar with this picture by now. It's Madonna, Sega's proposed girlfriend for Sonic all the way back for the first game until Sega of America shut that idea down.
Huh. Her dress and haircut look the same as Amy's.
And her personality too, so the idea of pairing Sonic up with a human was right there at the beginning. Although Madonna was mostly designed as a comic relief character rather than a proper romantic interest. Okay, I guess we need to talk about anthropomorphic characters, furries, and how furry characters are like in Japan. And let's politely ignore the awkward aspects and the sex and the dressing up for now. Yeah, those people are pathetic sad freaks. Unlike our amazing and fantastic sexual habits. Whatever. This story is complicated and probably awkward enough without jumping off that cliff too. So, socially acceptable, clean cartoon characters with animal traits. Okay, so let's ignore Sonic for a moment and talk about furries in general in Japan.
Ah, yes. The land of Nintendo games, anime, manga, tentacle porn, and hentai. Of course, there are furries.
Actually, no. Okay, let's start with an example. Recently I found this rare anthro anime called Sherlock Hound. Look at the male main characters. They're anthropomorphic dogs, right?
They're dogs, all right. Snouts, fur. Typical healthy colour of fur, like brown and, green.
Now look at the main female character, and human skin color, barely a snout. She looks like a human, just with a dog nose and ears attached. And not just her, every female character with any substantial role looks like that. Male characters take full advantage of the dog setting and have crazy designs. Girls may have a tan and slightly longer snout if they're in a very minor role, but are always more human looking. And so on and so on. Another show, Ito Rangers, about the 12 Chinese animals fighting crime or something. Male characters are properly designed to resemble the correct animal. Girls are just human with a weird haircut and bunny ears. Except her, she looks like a proper bird. Ah. Oh, and guess what her main power is in the show? That's right, the only non-human looking girl always turns into a human. Of course.
I see. Still, I remember Polyester from Samurai Pizza Cats and Crystal from Star Fox. Funny thing is that Crystal wasn't intended to be a Star Fox character, as Dinosaur Planet was originally meant to be released on the N64, but got released on the GameCube with Star Fox characters attached.
Back to the already off-topic topic, Polyester is a robot, which is already a get-out-of-jail-free card in Japan. And look at the cat snout of Speedo and Guido, and then at the human snout of Polly. As for Crystal, she was designed by Rareware, a British company, and we're talking about the Japanese here. While Nintendo of Japan did design a couple of Antro girls themselves, how much screen time did they even have? But yes, if you dive deep enough, Japanese Antro girls do exist, like Freya from Final Fantasy IX, though compared to her teammates she's still one of the more normal looking. And the Shining Force 3 girl and Naiji, they exist, but it's much more rare than male examples.
Japan loves their cat girls, but don't care for anthropomorphic characters then? Weird.
In Western media, we have tons of weird characters. SpongeBob, Invader Zim, Donald Duck, Bugs Bunny, and not just for kids, but for young teenagers, adults, all over the board. Then grab a random amount of mangas, and you get teenage boy in high school likes girls, teenage girl in high school likes to date, but teenage boy in high school, a teenage girl, teenage boy, teenage girl, a lot less variation. Don't get me wrong, anime and manga can be very creative and weird. Very weird. But rarely is the main character strange. The main character is always the same kind of guy. In the West we love superheroes, cowboys, toys, sea creatures, CIA agent dads, all kinds of weird main characters. In anime and manga, much less. Occasionally you find a show starring a badass adult or pirate, and surprise, those series are very popular in the West, but the deeper you go into the otaku anime manga world, the less variation you get. The main characters are extremely close to the audience, I guess. Japanese have little tolerance for main characters that don't reflect themselves almost completely. I mean, look at Sega! Okay, so those fanservice games, when you get a bunch of Sega characters together in a crossover. If a Western studio makes those, or if you ask a Western Sega fan what characters they want, look at what you get. Obviously the blue hedgehog, there's a yellow star guy, a purple dream jester, with a ninja, a barbarian warrior, the femme fatale, space reporter, monkey, living spaceship. You know, all kinds of colors and shapes and stuff. Now look at whatever a Japanese studio makes a Sega crossover for the Japanese market. So indirectly showing us what Japanese Sega fans think about when talking about Sega. And you get teenage anime boy in school that dates girls or falls in love in an adventure with teenage anime girl in school that falls in love with teenage boy in school, that teenage girl with teenage boy, teenage girl. Sonic barely even appears in those crossovers. Sonic, the company's flagship character. Instead of this guy and this girl. We're lucky that there's at least a couple badasses like Akira from Virtua Fighter in there, but more creative and weird beyond Ulala is hard to be found. Really, mention Sega to a Japanese person, and you really think they think about Sonic? Ha! No, in Japan, Sega is more known dating, card collecting, you know, this. Audiences always want to relate with main characters, but we in the West are happy to just relate to behavior merits alone. We can relate with weird characters, superhero millionaires, insane sea creatures, whatever, as long as we recognize human elements and behaviors in them. As long as they do things that we would do in their situation. The Japanese apparently have less of a tolerance for this stuff. They always need this grounded mirror of themselves. Some anime fans are probably screaming at me now. Hey, anime starring weird creatures also exist. Yeah, okay, like what? Sonic X? Sonic is barely in there. The focus is clearly on anime boy Chris whining about his homework and his parents not loving him. Doraemon, the magical cat from the future. Well, he's not a main character, is he? That'd be anime boy with trouble at school and parents and blah 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 here.
Sergeant Frog, the violent space frog trying to take over the world.
And surprise, here's a bland anime kid again. A TV show starring Mega Man? Hey kids, want badass Mega Man fighting robots and saving the world? No! Fuck off, Mega Man. I want Bob and Susie, who have trouble with homework and their parents don't love them and they fart in their pants. And Mega Man is just a thing that just happens to them. And that's the anime about the actual Mega Man, not even talking about whenever the games themselves went into the schoolboy direction. Where intros in the West can be for the whole family, you know, including teens and adults. In Japan they're almost exclusively for toddlers. Stuff like Samurai Pizza Cats and Studio Ghibli, well okay, I give you that one. So, weird characters, and yes, it also includes badass samurai warriors and pirates. You may think a lot of anime are about them, because it's those animes that are very popular in the West. But trust me, they are a very low percentage of the variation of main characters you can get. And that's mostly the male characters I'm talking about. Female weirdness is even less tolerated. Female characters can never be weird looking. Here in Dragon Ball, for example, there's a bunch of weird mooks following Goku around, ugly disgusting troll, dog guy, and perfectly attractive human girl. So, the fact that the partly Japanese Sonic has deformed, funny-looking, weird female characters to begin with is already very unique. So the fact that we got Amy instead of Madonna is already an impressive feat. As far as I understand, it's the American branch that were against Madonna, as we Western folk have less of an issue with anthropomorphic characters, as evidenced by Sally Acorn and the like. Now notice in the Sonic series, every time a female character is used as an emotional weight, it's always human. Need tragic death? Human. Need love interest? Human. Need a female crying over terrible experiences and sacrifice and get a lot of hankies? Human. The anthropomorphic female characters aren't used for that. Okay, Amy cries for 3 seconds after she thinks Sonic is killed. Whatever. Let's watch her get hurt instead! You're ugly in the form, so get yourself hurt. Imagine Sonic doing that with someone who looks like this. Though I have to admit, Sonic X does take her seriously every now and then.
So you say they made Princess Elise Sonic's love interest not because it makes sense for Sonic, but because we as an audience wouldn't care for any romantic scenes if the girl didn't look like a top model? I suppose that makes sense. Ignoring the fact a lot of the Sonic fandom is probably a lot more into furry females, but whatever. Still, there are 2 exceptions. First of all, there's Tikal in Sonic Adventure. She's used as a tragic character, making a sacrifice, being the emotional weight of the story, and setting up the characters and the audience to participate in the final battle.
True, there is an exception. Although I'm willing to bet that the designer's first instinct was to design her like your typical anime girl, the big eyes and all. Until someone, presumably Sega of America, told them that if the only female person in Echidna-only tribe would be human, that would leave some weird implications and questions. Blech! So we have to have emotions and care about this disgusting freak of nature? That's impossible. But hey, just turn into a ball of energy. Hey, good idea. Having emotions about this freakish monster is icky, but a shapeless ball of energy? Well yeah, I can get emotionally involved with that.
The second exception is Blaze the Cat. She's a full main character in several games, does a tragic sacrifice, has self-doubt in Sonic and the Black Knight as Lady Percival.
Ah yes, Blaze. The only female emperor written by the Japanese that is allowed to have dramatic moments here and there. It's kind of hard to care about those dramatic moments since she seems to be completely rebooted and reset every time we meet her. Well okay, I guess the friendship lessons from Rush stick, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, she seems to be completely different in each return. Almost a filler character. Hey, we need a fake romantic interest or something. Hey, we need a female knight. Hey, we need... who the hell are they? More screen time for Tails and Sonic and more hilarious jokes. Makes me wonder if the writers are uncomfortable writing for her, and that's why she's all over the map. Her part in the Sonic universe is so inconsistent that if I was a Sonic writer, I'd just go with it and give her a completely new backstory in each game. Hey Sonic, in today's adventure I am Ninja Demon from Space Future, just like I always was. And besides Tikal and Blaze, you could argue Rouge is a serious character, but her seriousness is always directed at other characters. She talks about Shadow, about the disaster. It's not herself that we are ever concerned about. She's an extension of other characters. And before anyone brings up shade, Sonic Chronicles was written by Americans, channeling the Archie comics no less. So of course he's a substantial character, but we're talking about the Japanese writers here though. And most main characters are rarely taken serious, but Sonic and Shadow can at least take the dramatic role if the story desires one, but if there's a tragic female needed, it's always done by a random new anime girl of the week. With one single exception, though I still think Blaze's sacrifice is more random and confusing than tragic. Add to that how often Blaze just drops in and out of the story constantly in 06. She just got awkward, writers have no idea what to do with her, written all over her.
And therefore, when Sonic Team wanted to do a real romantic story, Amy was ditched and they brought in Elise. Not because they thought she fitted well with Sonic, but because they assumed the audience only cares about romance when it involves a beautiful girl that the main audience wants to have sex with. And for the female audience, there's a weird, ugly, deformed alien hedgehog, because who cares about the female audience?
Or are more into their personality. Anyway, this is a theme that comes up a lot with Sonic. Hey, Sonic's a talking hedgehog, how can you take this serious? It's dumb cartoon fun! Sonic can't have dark stories because it's talking animals. They're always funny and wacky and goofy and can be used in mature stories, but only in harmless fun. Isn't that right, Mickey Mouse? Animal Farm, Watership, oh god. Sonic is a Nintendo brand now. Nintendo never has talking animals tell a straight story. Star Fox is non-stop bad jokes, ain't it?
One word of helpful advice. Diet and exercise.
So let's tackle this for a moment. Talking cartoon animals. Silly harmless fun, can't take them serious? Yet a lot of people do. Some people even feel more connected to anthros than human characters. Now we can immediately play the pathetic, freaky, furry basement dwell losers card. Win us a quick moral victory. But hey, madness always has a source, and there's a little bit of madness in all of us. So, is there a logical, mature reason why people actually take anthro characters serious and see them more than just this?
So, anthro characters, why are they popular? What's appealing to weird animal people to some folks?
I guess animals imitating human behavior is fascinating to us. Like the Egyptian gods trying to interpret animal behavior as answers to the universe or something? I don't know.
Well, there's several reasons what makes them interesting. More varied character design, human fascination with animals, sure. But here's something more fundamental. Okay, ignoring anthros for a moment, let's talk about superheroes being popular these days. The thing with movie heroes is that they are supposed to represent us, the audience, right? The hero sleeps in, is late at work, has money problems, all kinds of things that make us go, hey, just like me. Audience surrogates. We need to feel connected to the hero to get involved in the story. Now, the problem is, having such a hero brings certain problems with it. Like, it confronts you with yourself. A hero who achieves his goals with working hard and being smart and strong is all nice and educational, but could make you feel uncomfortable. After all, it reminds you that you could also have been awesome if you worked harder and so on. A valuable life lesson, but movies aren't here to teach us valuable life lessons, they're here to make us feel better about ourselves.
Ah, just giving me the illusion of teaching me something.
Pretty much. So enter superheroes like Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark, who, without much working and learning, immediately grow up to be millionaires, get themselves some nifty gadgets and start fighting crime. They are millionaires, but they don't behave like them. They behave like how we would act if we'd suddenly become millionaires, trashing expensive cars like toys and having exciting adventures around the world while stepping on everyone's toes. Real-born millionaires would be more stiff, obsessed over public relations and other boring things.
More like a typical movie villain, yeah.
Now, we can live vicariously through them without feeling bad about how pathetic and lazy we are. After all, hey, if I happened to be born as a millionaire and had all these cool gadgets lying around, I'd be Iron Man too. It's almost ego porn. Feel good about yourself while sidestepping all that nasty working hard stuff for it.
Ah, role models without the actual inspiring you to be awesome too role modeling. Nice. Anyway, what does this have to do with anthros?
Well, this is one example of our Western mindset. That we like our heroes to resemble us, but have a bit of a self-esteem problem, and recently feel more and more uncomfortable with our heroes confronting ourselves. Anthros kind of work like that too, but differently. See, the thing about a human role model, a hero to look up to, is that human characters have a lot of additional facts about them. A human character clearly represents a specific race, a specific age. His body tells us stories about their physical shapeness. So women, people of a specific race, or people with identity confusion, often have to deal with having a role model that doesn't really represent who they are. For example, you're a 12-year-old ebony girl and wants a role model that represents you. That's going to be tough to find. Not many characters like that. You're constantly forced to vicariously live through 40-year-old white male heroes because there's no one to represent you besides some minor characters. This is where anthro characters come in. I think you said this before. Mickey Mouse, what age is he? Is he a young boy? Well, is he more of an old teen? Early 20-year-old guy? He could be. Could Mickey Mouse be a 40-year-old family man suffering crippling depression? What age is Mickey? Everyone and none of them. What race is Mickey? Is he a white European? Asian American? Space alien? He could be. Why not? He completely sidesteps race and age. He's Mickey Mouse, a character above those human elements.
Well, he still has a clear gender.
Even gender can be easily fixed with just some eyelashes and a bow. This is Mickey's appeal. He can relate to an enormous amount of different people. Same with anthros. They act like humans, so we can relate to them, but sidestep any race or age issues. You want a black role model, and you're stuck with weirdos and superhuman Mr. T's? Well, you can have Knuckles as your role model. Is he black, Asian, white? Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't matter. He's Knuckles. He can be a high school student or an aged and experienced warrior with little to no changes to his looks or personality.
Well, the manual of the game says that Knuckles is...
Who cares about manuals anyway? Sure, there's the canon, but we're not talking about naked facts here. We're talking about something deeper. The audience connection to a character. It's stronger than just facts.
Alright, so anthros are easier to mold into your personal preference of a character because the visual clues are more alien. So kinda like reading a book, where you subconsciously mold the main characters to your personal liking, even beyond what they're supposed to be like.
Sometimes even ignoring statements of the actual book. Now, some people feel extremely uncomfortable feeling close and emotional around anthro characters. Of course, they're alien, weird, work under different rules, bestiality, blah blah blah.
Of course. If you like furry characters, you're immediately sexually attracted to them. Just like getting an emotional response from a song immediately makes you want to fuck the radio.
They want characters to resemble reality as close as possible. But for people who aren't too happy about their real life, who feel disconnected to the real world, who have some sort of self-esteem issue, furry characters can become very appealing as role models because they're distanced from ourselves. Because they're more alien, we focus more on their personalities and deeds rather than their race, age, beauty, and so on. Human role models can be mirrors of yourself, showing you what you lack. Anthros don't. They operate on another plane of rules and are therefore more comfortable relating to when you have no self-confidence.
Ah, so you're saying that people who like anthro characters are all pathetic, mentally unstable losers.
No! This is just one example why they can be appealing. People might just enjoy their more varied designs or just like them because who they are regardless how they look. Human brains are too complicated to just jump to everyone is a weirdo conclusions. Tough, sure. At the very least, it might explain why furry characters are often popular with social outcasts, which is not the same as everyone who likes furries is a social outcast. Religion is also very popular with people with mental instabilities or who lost grip on life, but I'd never say every person practicing religion is a weirdo.
Okay, not weirdos, just another fine example of how varied and exotic human beings can be. Right, so Sonic 06. Could Elise have been played as an anthro character? Sure, but the Japanese would have been uncomfortable with it. Though they seem to be uncomfortable with the whole series to begin with anyway. Doubt Sonic will be popular in Japan unless they all become human teenage boys playing card games and some dating sim, whatever. I also like to mention that I hate to complain that Silver should have known Mephiles was evil on sight. It's an apocalyptic world. Why would Mephiles being ugly and zombie-like be weird? I assume a lot of people living in that destroyed city would be disfigured and weird. Adding to that, we don't know how many people Silver has to socialize with, and therefore has any point of reference to judge others. After all, Mephiles is pretty much the only one Silver comes across besides the Blaze that doesn't try to kill him, and I think we can cut him some slack. Seriously, I hate hindsight reasoning in stories. Not to mention the world is already destroyed, so it's impossible for Silver to imagine why Anima would make it even worse than the end of the world. Oh well. I don't know, I can't hate 06. I didn't play it until it was out for years, so I missed the initial shock. By the time I got into it, I knew exactly what to expect. And Sega has always been a messy company when it comes to quality and game polishment, even besides Sonic. So while 06 is indeed the most extreme example of their lackluster quality control, it's not like it was that much of a shock to me. I don't know, I always see 06 as a burnt pizza. It's a sad affair, and I'm mostly just picking out a few bits that are still edible. It does a lot of things I love for a Sonic game. Set pieces, variety. The Silver and Shadow stories are pretty decent, although kind of confusing how they incorporate some Sonic X elements that were never used in the games before. But, it's just a shame that Sonic's story never becomes more than just some yo-yoing around with a princess getting kidnapped over and over and some vague foreshadowing. A shame. But again, this game has been criticized enough. We just wanted to explore a few trains of thought and leave it at that. I'm pretty sure everyone already has their opinion of this game. Oh well, if only they had more time and resources for this.
Who knows? See you all next time, boys and girls. Cheerio!